Hello friends, welcome back to Smart Coder. We are back with a video, and in this video we are going to implement our chat API with our Flutter application and all. And before doing that, we have to do some modification in our APIs and all. First of all, we have to put some of the code which we missed in our previous videos and all. So here, first of all, we have to add one import which we missed, that is this one, mark message as deliver. So that need to be add here. And after that, we have to import our model file for the messages and the user. And here we will put import message from ./model/message.js file, and we will copy same, we'll paste here, and here we will do for the user also. Here also we'll put user, and this one we have to put the lowercase. After that, we have to do some more modification here. First one is this one. Here we have the socket.io. Instead of that, we have to put here in the line number 148, we have to put here socket.to. That means this to this room ID we have to emit this function and all. Same we have to do here also. In the line number 175, we will put here socket.to. So here in the line number 95, that is this function, that is socket.on, we have put here incorrect variable name, that is message.sender. Instead of that, this wrong name, we have to put here sender here. So the next changes we have to do in our chat service.js file. We'll go there. So we have to go to this function, mark message as a deliver, and here we have to put here new in front of that object ID, and same here also. And in the top we have to go here, and here we have to write constant object ID is equal to mongoose dot types dot object ID, and this object ID we are going to use here. Now after this, we have to go to the function name, that is update user last seen, and here we have to change the function to find by ID and update. This function we have to change here. Now after that, we have to go to the function that is fetch chat messages, and here after that aggregate we have to put here bracket, and the closing bracket also we have to put here. So the last change we have to do in our chat room function. So here we have to add one variable, that will be this one, latest message ID, and here we will put underscore ID. After that, here we have to change it to sender instead of sender ID, and here also we will change it to sender, and here in the input we have to change it to messages. So now let's move further, and we will start with our Flutter application and all. So before moving to the Flutter application, I will introduce to you our new plugin which we have used in our application, that is Flutter chat plugin. So this plugin is very flexible, feature rich chat plugin for our Flutter application that can provide us the real-time messaging capabilities using socket.io. And this plugin also handle all the complex aspect of the chat implementation, that will be including real-time messaging, online status, typing indicators, and message delivery read receipt. So these are the features for our plugin, that is real-time messaging, instant message delivery using the socket.io, and this is also a cross-platform which can be worked with the iOS, Android, and web. And we can also have the message status tracking with the sent, deliver, and the read receipts. Also we have the typing indicator that will show the user is typing or not. Also we are having the online status, and we can track the user online and offline status with the last seen timestamp. Also we have the chat room facilities where we can manage the multiple conversations, and also we can customize our UI and the API endpoints. And this is the event based architecture that can be react to the changes with the comprehensive event system. So the installation is very simple. We have to just put in the dependencies, that is the chat plugin with the latest version, and after that we have to go to our main.dart file. There we have to initialize our chat configuration and all. Here we can put the API URL, that is the API which we have developed, that URL we have to put here. And here the user ID, whatever the user logged in user, that ID will be provided here. And after that we have the token, and we have to provide the user authorization token of that particular logged in user. And here we have the variables parameters. On the basis of that we can enable or disable the features. The first one is the enable typing indicators. So in case you don't want to show the typing indicator, you can make it false, or if you want to show that, you have to make it true here. Same for the read receipt also. If you don't want to show any read receipt for the sender, then you can make it false here. And here also, if you want to disable the online status, you can make it false here. And also we have this auto mark as a read. Whenever any message will come, we can mark it as a read here. That also we can toggle from here. And also we have this parameter for the max reconnection attempts. So here we can define all our API handlers and all. So in case if you don't want to follow our API and all, if you are having your own API, that also you can integrate here by putting a URL and all. And here we can have this chat API handlers. First one, the load messages handler. There we can provide the page number, limit, and the search text, and it will return the result here. Then we have the load chat room handler. There we can provide the API URL for all the chat room and all. Then also we can implement this send message handler from here and all. So with this chat service.instance, we can update this configuration, and the API handler we can set from here, and after that we can initialize the chat plugin here. So code is very simple and very readable here. So let's move to our Flutter application. We will go through each and every code from there. So now we will create our Flutter application, and for doing that, first of all we will go to our terminal, and from here we will write cd app, and inside the app folder we are going to create our Flutter application. We will write here Flutter create dot. It will create the Flutter application inside this folder. So here you can see here we have the Flutter application. So first of all we will go to our pub/spec, and there we are going to add the packages which we are going to use in our application. So these are our packages. So first one is the HTTP, which will be used for our API calling and all, and the second one is the shared preference for storing our login credentials and the token, and this is the chat plugin which we have developed for the easy development with any of the chat application in the Flutter. So now inside our lib folder we are going to create one file, and we will name it as a config dot file, and here also we are going to define one variable, and we will put a class config. Here we will write static constant string API underscore URL is equal to, and we will write here http:// and we will put the IP here. And before doing that we have to run our API also, and for doing that we will open a terminal here, and we will write here cd API folder, and here we will write node1.js. You can see here server started, MongoDB connected. Now here we will write our IP 192.168.1.4:3000, because we are going to test this application in the real device also, and for that we have to communicate the API with our real device. For that purpose we have to write here the URL and all. So now here we have to create one folder, and we will name it as a utils. Inside this folder we will create one file, and that will be used for our constants, variables and all. And here we have the constant.dart file. Inside that we can create multiple classes and all. First one we are going to use here is the app color. Here we can define list of all the app color and all. Static constant color, and here we have to import, and we will name the variable as a primary color, and we can define the color here. So we are going to use this color. So now we have to create our services file. First of all, we are going to create one file that will be the auth service file. Inside that, we are going to define multiple functions. First one will be the login user. Then we have the register user. Then also we can have the get user ID from the shared preference. Then setting the user ID, user token in our shared preference. Also the is logged in function we can create here. We will create the folder here. We will name it as a services. Inside that, we can define the new file that will be the auth service, auth_service dot file. And here we have the class auth service. Before that, we have to also import here, import package http dot as http. Now here we have to define some of the methods. First one will be our static type of future return as a bool login user, and the parameter we are going to give is, first one will be the string type of username, then we have the string type of password, and we will make this function as async here. Inside that we will put the try catch, and here inside that try we will going to call our http.post request. Here we will have the final response is equal to await http.post. Here we have to pass the URL, and for doing that we have to put here uri.parse, and the URL we will get from our config file, and we have to import here import /config.dart file. Here we have the $config.api URL /api/users/login. After that, we will define the headers here, and we will have this one as a content type application/JSON. Then we have the body here, and we will pass here JSON encode, and here we have to pass two parameters. First one will be our username, then we have our password, and this one also we have to put inside our curly brackets, and this one we have to import here. This will be this parameter, and from here we can return false. Here we have the exception. Now here we will check if response.status code is equal to 200. Then here we will define one variable data is equal to JSON decode, and whatever the response body we are getting we will decode into the JSON, and we will check here if data with this user ID not equal to null. That means we are getting the response with the proper user ID from the API. Then we will store this user ID and the token in our shared preference, and here we will write shared preference is equal to await shared preference dot get instance, and here we will write preference dot set string. First we will have the key, and the key will be our user ID. Then we will have here data, this user ID. Same we have to do again for the token also. We will write here token, and here we will have token, and here we have to initialize our chat plugin also, that we will cover later on. We will comment here chat plugin. After the chat plugin we will add some short delay to ensure the socket connection is established properly, and for doing that we have to put the delay here with the millisecond of 500, and then from here we will just return true, and outside this we will return here false. So what we did here, we have created one function that will be the login user, and we are passing here username and password, and there we are just doing the http.post request, and we are just parsing our API URL with this endpoint API/user/login. In the headers, we are just passing content type as application/JSON. In the body, we are just doing the JSON encode with the username and the password. And here we are checking if we are getting the status code 200, then we are just decoding our response body from the API, and then we are just checking if the data is having the user ID and that is not null, then we are just storing this user ID and token in the shared preference, and from here we are returning true. And before that we have to also do the initialization of the chat code that we will cover later on. And outside this condition we can put here return false, that the user is not valid, and the catch also we will put here return false. So now let's move further and we will create one more function. We will just copy this function and we will paste here, and we will rename it as a register user, and the variable will be same, everything will be same, just we will change here the endpoint to the register, and rest of the everything will be same here. Whatever the user register at the first time, we will just store their user ID and token in our shared preference, and from here we are returning true and all. And here same thing we will do for the plugin initialization and all. So now we will create more functions. First one will be our static future type of string get user ID, and this will get the user ID from our shared preference. Here we will have shared preference is equal to await shared preference dot get instance, and we will return here preference dot get string, and the name of the key will be our user ID. And here we have to make this function async here. Next one will be we will copy this one and we will paste here, and we will put here is logged in. Here we will check if the user is logged in or not, and return type will be changed to boolean. And here we have we will check here if the preference dot get string user ID is not equal to null, that means user is logged in, else user is not logged in. So the next function we will create here, we will copy and paste here. It will be get user token, and this will be used for sending the user auth token in all the API requests and all. And here we will change it to, and we will create one more function, and that will be used for the logout user. And we can copy this one and we can paste here. We will change here return type as a void, and method name we will change to logout user. Here we can pass the build context because we have to also redirect user to the landing page context, and here we will write await preference dot remove key, that will be user ID. Same we will do for the token also, and we can also clear this preference dot clear, and from here we will redirect user to different page, and we'll put here navigator dot off context dot push replacement name, and here we will have the name that will be /landing. And before that also we have to do some code for the chat also to disconnect user from the socket and all, that we will cover. So now we will start with the code for the chat initialization and all. And first of all we will create one function. We will put a static future void initialize chat plugin, and we will provide the parameter string user ID string token, and here we have the async. Now we will wrap it with our try catch. Here we will check if chat config dot instance dot user ID is equal to this user ID. So here we will check if the plugin is already initialized, and then we will just refresh the connection, and we will write here chat plugin dot chat service dot global connection, refresh global connection, and from here we will just return. In the else we will initialize our plugin. We will put here await chat plugin dot initialize, and here we have to put the chat config. We will put here chat config, and this API URL we will pick from our config dot API URL. Then we have the user ID. User ID will be the logged in user ID, and that we will map from this variable user ID. Then we have the token here, that also we will map from here token. After that we have some of the parameters. First one is the enable tapping indicator. If we want to enable the tapping indicator, like if one user is tapping from here, the other user will able to see that user is typing. so that we can toggle from here. We will put here true. Same from the enable a read receipt, we will put here true. And then we have the enable login status, we will put here true. So with this variable enable online status, user will able to see that if that particular user is login or online or not. Then we have the auto mark as a read, we will make it as a true. Then we have the max reconnection attempt, we will put 5. We can put as many as we want, like this will be for if the server is not responding, it will do the maximum of the 5 reconnection attempts and all. Then we have this debug mode, true. Before going to the live, we will make it as a false here, it will be used for our logs and all. Then after that we have to set our API handlers, and for doing that we have to create one function, and we will create this function here, static future void underscore setup chat API handlers. This parameter will be user ID string token. This function also we will make it as async here. So here what we have to do, we have to create one variable final API handlers is equal to chat API handler. Now from here we have the multiple handlers. First one will be our load messages handler, and from here we have the parameters page is equal to 1. Then we have the limit, we can limit how many messages we have to load. Then we have the search text if we want to do any search and all. So all this handler we have already written in our chat plugin. Just we have to do the implementation of this handler in our Flutter application so that it will handle according to the chat plugin. This one also we will make it as async here. From here we will create one variable receiver ID. That ID we will pick from our chat plugin dot chat service dot receiver ID. So basically this ID is like if you are going to chat with someone, and that ID of that particular user will be our receiver ID because they are going to receive your message. So that we will set when we enter to any chat room, and from there we will just set this ID and it will be retrieved from here. And here we will check receiver ID is empty. Then we will return here empty messages. Then we will put here the try catch. Inside the try we will create one variable for the URL where URL is equal to config.api URL. Then we have the API /chat /messages question mark. Then we have the current user ID is equal to this user ID. Then we have the receiver ID here. We will write here receiver ID is equal to $ receiver ID, and here also we can remove the curly brackets. Then we have our other parameters like page is equal to $page. Then we have our limit, how many messages we have to show here, $limit. And also we can append our search text. If you want to search any text inside the message, we will check here if search text dot is not empty. Then we will append the URL is equal to & search text is equal to $URI dot encode component, and we have to pass here search text. After that we have to do the HTTP GET request. We will put here final response is equal to await HTTP dot GET request, and we will pass this URL. We put here URI dot parse this URL. Then we have the headers here. We will put here authorization bearer token. Token we will pick from this variable, and this is in the lowercase. Then we have the content type. We will put here content type application JSON, and we will put here if response dot status code is equal to 200. Then from here we will write final list dynamic data JSON decode, and we will decode whatever the data we are getting from the server response.body. And then from here we will return data.map MSC, that will be our variable name, chat message dot from map, this map we will pass, and we have this user ID, current user ID dot toList, this MSC. And here in the else condition we will just return here empty array. Same we can do from this catch also. So what we did here, we have just created one method that is set up chat API handlers, and these handler already map with our plugin. We have to just do the implementation here, like we have to pass the API URL and the calling of the whatever the data we are getting and all that will be mapped automatically. And first one will be our load messages handler, and we have the parameter for the page number, and then we have the limit, how many limit we have to give. So this is a receiver ID we have to pass here, and on the basis of this receiver ID it will load all the messages which we have that particular user having the chat message with that receiver. That will be load here. In case receiver ID is empty, then it will just return the empty array. And then inside the try catch, we are just putting the URL here, and we are putting here the endpoint of our API. Then we have the endpoint like API/chat/messages. Then we have to pass the parameters like current user ID. Then we have the receiver ID, page number. Then we have the limit, how many messages we have to load in the first request. Then here we are also checking if the search text is not empty, then we are just appending with the query string. So we are also doing the encode component for this parameter. Then we are just doing the http.get request, and there we are just passing the token in the authorization. Then here we are just checking if the response we are getting 200. Then we are just decoding whatever the response body we are getting, and then we are returning with doing the chat message.from map, and we are just passing their MSG, that is this object, and the user ID, and then we are just doing the toList here, and in the else condition we are just doing the empty array. After that we have to do for the chat room handler also. We will just copy this one and we will paste here, and this one we will change it to load chat room handler, and here we don't have any parameters, and this receiver ID is not required here, and this endpoint we will change it to API chat, and this one will be our chat room. It will load all the chats of that particular user with all the users. That will be load here, the name of the user and all. And this one will be also the get request. Here the map we will change it to chat room, and this one is not required. And this variable we can change it to room, or whatever the name you want to give, we can give it. In the else it will be same. So after that what we have to do, we have to set this handler with our chat plugin. We will put here chat plugin dot chat service dot set API handlers, and we will set this API handler here. So the last function we have to create. For doing that we will just copy this function also, and we'll paste here. We will name it as a fetch users. We will remove all the parameters. We can change it to get request. Here we can create one variable where token is equal to await get user token, and this endpoint we will change it to user/users, and this body is not required here because this is a get request. In the response we will remove this one, and here we will just do final data is equal to JSON decode dot response dot body, and we will just return here this data. In the else we will just return here empty array. Here also we can return empty array, and this return type we can change it to list dynamic. So now we have to modify all our above method where we have put where we left with the chat plugin integration and all. And first one will be this one, login user. What we will do here, after the user is successfully login, then we will just do the initialization of the chat plugin. We'll put here chat initialize chat plugin, and we have to pass here data this user ID. Same we can do for this token also. It will just call this function, it will initialize the plugin, and after that we have to put here delay. We have to put here future dot delay. We'll put the duration here in milliseconds 500. This one we are doing to add a short delay to ensure that the socket connections are established properly. Now in the same way we have to do for our registration also. We will just copy this one and we can just paste here. So this will make ensure that after the user successfully login or registered, it will initialize our chat plugin. Same we can do in the logout also. And here what we have to do, we have to put it try, and we have the catch here. Inside here we have to check here if chat config dot instance dot user ID is not equal to null. Then we can put here chat plugin dot chat service dot full disconnect. So what we are doing here, when user press the logout button here, first we will check here if the user ID is not clear from our instance of that chat configuration and all. Then we will just do this full disconnect. Then it will remove everything from the chat plugin, and it will be like a reset to our chat plugin and all. So now let's move further and we will integrate all this API in our Flutter application. So now we will create our main.dot file and we will go there. In the main.dot file, we have to initialize our chat plugin and all. And here, first of all, we will write here visits Flutter binding dot ensure initialize. So this will ensure that Flutter bindings are initialized before calling any native code and all. So from here also we can set our status bar appearance and all. And we will write here system chrome dot set system UI overlist style, and here we will pass system UI overlay style, and we have to pass the status bar color, and color we are using here transparent. Then we will put your status bar icon brightness, and we are using a brightness dot light. After that we will check here if the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, then only we will initialize the chat plugin and all. Here we have final is logged in is equal to await auth service dot is user logged in, and this function will make it as a async here, and there is a spell mistake here. D is not required here. We will go there and we will change from here. And here we have to do some more modification here, which we did in our auth service. First of all, we will go to our initialize chat plugin here, and instead of passing this user ID and token from as a parameter, we will get it from our auth server itself. Like we will put here final user ID is equal to await auth service dot get user ID. Same we will do for the token also, get token, and we will remove this checking from here and we will put it in the main.dot file, and from here we will call this chat API handler also. We will write here await underscore setup chat API handler, and we will pass this user ID and token here. Then here we will initialize our chat service, and we write here await chat plugin dot chat service dot initialize. After that we will also load our chat room also. We will write here await chat plugin dot chat service dot load chat room, and we will change this reference, and everywhere we will remove this one. This is not required. Same here in the registration also we will remove this. So now we will go back here, and from here we will check if is logged in is equal to true. Then from here we will initialize our chat plugin and all. We will put here auth service dot initialize chat plugin, and here in the my app we have to make it as a stateful visit. We will remove all the below code, and we will write here stateful visit my app, and we will remove all this code here. And from here we will create one variable final is logged in, and we will make it as a required field. This dot is logged in. Same we have to pass here also is logged in, and this constants we have to remove here, and this constant we have to remove from here. So now here we have to maintain the state of our application and all, and we will do here with visit binding observer. So basically this visit binding observer is used to monitor and react to the changes in our Flutter application environment, such as the application lifecycle event, like if we are going from background to foreground or from foreground to background, or if there will be any screen change, orientation change and all. So for that purpose we use it. And here we have to override our inState function. Here we have the override void inState. We have to put here super dot inState. Then here we have the visit binding dot instance dot add observer this. After that we have to initialize the chat connection, and we will check if the user is logged in or not. And here we will put visit dot is logged in. Then here we have to use the post frame callback to ensure that the widget fully initialized, and we will write here widget binding dot instance dot add post frame callback. Here we have to write ensure chat connection, and we have to create one function here, and this function will be used to ensure the chat connection is established and active. We have to put the function here void underscore ensure chat connection, and we'll make it as async here. And this function we will check with the if the plugin is initialized with the user ID or not. Here we will check if chat config dot instance dot user ID is not equal to null. Then we have to use a try catch. Inside the try, we will put a final chat service dot chat service is equal to chat plugin dot chat service. And then we will check if the socket is connected or not. We will check here if not of chat service dot is socket connected. Then we have to initialize our global connections. We will put here await chat service dot initialize global connection. In the else, we will just refresh our connections and all. We put here await chat service dot refresh global connections, and we have to remove this await from here. After that, we have to set the status for the user as a online, and we will write here chat service dot update user status, and we will put here true. And here after the else condition, we will just initialize our chat plugin because that is not yet initialized, and we will write here await auth service dot initialize chat plugin. So what we are doing here, we are created one function that is ensure chat connection. This will ensure the chat connection is properly done with the socket and the backend APIs. So here we are checking if the user ID is not equal to null. That means our chat plugin is already initialized properly. Then we are just checking the try catch. If the socket is not connected, then we will do the initialize global connection. Else we are doing here refresh global connection. After that, we are just making the user status as a true. That means the user is logged in after the successfully connection and all. And we will call this function from here. And this will only call if the user is logged in, else this will not call. After that, we have to do the handling of the app lifecycle, state changes and all. And we have to override void did change app lifecycle state, and here we have to put the parameter that is app lifecycle state. And here we will check if the user is logged in, then only we will proceed with all this lifecycle states and all, else we will just return from here. We'll check here if not of visit dot is logged in, then we will return from here. Else we will check here if state is equal to app lifecycle dot resume. So here in the resume, that means the app came from foreground, and we have to ensure the connection, and we have to set the status of the user as a online, and we have to call this function ensure chat connection. And here in the else condition, we will check here else if state is equal to app lifecycle state dot pause. We have to put here try catch. And here the app goes to background, and we have to update the status to away. We will not do any disconnect because we have to also receive the messages from user if the app is in the background. And here we have to write final chat service is equal to chat plugin dot chat service, and we have to set the state here of the user, and we have to make it as a false here. That means user is not logged in because the user goes out from the app, and we will make the state of the user as offline here. or you can make it as a way also. So now we have to put this build function all, and from here we have to return material app. We have to put your initialize route, that will be slash. This will be start with the root route. Then we have to put your debug show check mode banner, and we have to make it false here. And then we have to define all the routes here. And the first one will be our slash, that means, so this will be our root path, and here we have to initialize the route with the checking the auth status of the user, if the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, we have to redirect user to the dashboard, that is the chat room page, else we have to redirect user to the login page. We have to put here initializer wizard, and that we have to create here. We have to create it outside it as a stateful wizard. We will put here name of the wizard as a initializer wizard, and here we have to pass one variable, that will be string nullable initialize route, and here we have to override void int state super dot initialize state. Then here we have to check the user is logged in or not. We have to create one function here. We have to put your future void underscore check login. So here we will check final is logged in is equal to await Auth Service dot is logged in. We'll make it as async here, and we'll check if is logged in. Then we will make the initial route as a slash direct messages, else we'll make it as a initial route is equal to slash landing page, and from here we will just navigate user to that initial route. We put here navigator, we will write here navigator dot off context dot push replacement name, and we have to pass this initial route here, and we will put here exclamation sign, and this function we will call from here. Here we have this function, and here in the body we have to just put here scaffold visit. Here in the body we have to pass here center visit with child circular progress indicator. So what we are doing here, we have created one visit, and what that visit will do, it will show the circular progress indicator, and behind the scene it will check if the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, then it will redirect user to the direct messages, else it will redirect user to the landing page. And here we have to create the other routes also. We have to copy this, paste here, and we will make it here as a landing, and we have to create the landing page here. Then we have this login, we have to create the login page, and then we have the register, and we have to create the register page also. Same we have to do for the direct message also, messages, and we will create all these pages. So now let's just move further, and we will create all these pages. So now we will create our landing page, and most of the UI I will going to copy paste because I will focus more on that integration part instead of creating the UI part and all. But I will put link in the description of the GitHub for the UI code and all. So now we will create the first page, that will be our, we will create here folder, that is pages. Under that we have to create a new page, that is landing underscore page dot file, and I will just copy paste the page here. So what we did here is, first we have to import so here we have to import this one. We have to check if we are using correct name or not. We have here app color, but here we are using app colors. We will change here to app colors. Now we will import here, and we will link this page here in the main.dart file, this one, and we will run the page. Then I will go through all the code. So API we have already started. You can see here, this is a landing page. Now let's go to the code also. In the landing page, we have created the stateful widget, and there we are using the background color. Primary color we are using. Then in the body, we are using the safe area. And then we are using a stack here. Inside the stack, we are having the background with the curve white part. You can see here in the bottom, there we have the two buttons. First one will be the login button, and the second one is the register now button. And the top, you can see we have our logo, or you can say the icon, and the name of the application, that is chat application. Then we have the click event for this login and the register now. When we click here on the login, it will redirect user to the login page, and when we click on the register now, it will redirect you to the register page. So now let's make the login page also. We will create here login underscore page dot file. This one also we are going to copy paste here. First we will click here, and before doing that we have to go to the main.dot file, and from here we have to do the linking of this page, and we will change it to login page screen. We will reload the application here. Now if I click on the login here, you can see we are landed to the login page. When we click here on the login, you will see the login page is coming here. When you press the back here, you will see user redirect to the landing page here. In the login page, what we are doing here, we have created the login page with the stateful widget, and there we have the two text box. First one will be our email ID, or you can say username. Then we have the password, and then we have created one variable that is loading false, that will be used for showing the loader and all. Then we have created the function that is underscore login function name. There we are first setting the state of this loading as a true. That means when we click on the login button, it will show the loader here. After that, it will pick the email, or you can say username, from the email controller. Then it will also pick the password from the password controller, and then it will check if the email and the password is not empty. Then it will call the API method which we have created inside our Auth Service dot login user. There we are passing the email and the password, and there it will be check if we are getting that true response, that means the success. Then it will be redirecting user to the track messages page, else it will show the snack bar with the message login fail, please try again. Same for the else condition, it will throw the error that is please enter email or password. Now if I click here, you will see it is saying please enter email or password. And if I put something here also, if I put something, and if I click on the login, you can see it is saying login failed, please try again. Then we have this navigate to register page. There we are just redirecting user to the register page. And then what we are doing here in the UI, we have the background, the same primary color. Then we have the safe area, and we are using a stack here with the back navigation fix in the top. And there we are just calling our navigator.pop. Then we have the position fill, that is this area. There we have our label with the hello, and then the message, this message here, sign into your account. Then we have our email ID. Then we have the text field, and there we are just mapping with the email controller. Then we have our password field, and there we are mapping with our password controller and all. And here we have this forgot password also. We can remove this on press event, which is not required because we are not covering the forgot password in this video. Then we have this login button that we have already covered in the top. So now we will create the register page also. We will put here register underscore page dot file. Here also we will just copy this page and we will paste here. And we have to first map it with our main.dot file. And we have to go to the main.dot, and here we will change register with our register screen. We will reload the page here, and if I click here on the register now, you can see user landed to this page. If we go back, you will see user goes back to the landing page. And if I go here in the login page, and here also we have the register now. If I click here, user will land to this page, and from here also we can go to the login page also, like this way. So what we are doing here in this page, let's go through. There we have the three text box in the register now. First one is the name, email ID and password. As of now we are not saving any name in our database, we are just capturing the email ID and password. That name you can do yourself also. And here we are just checking if it is not null. Then we are just calling the API service, that is register user with this email ID and password. And then we are landing user to the direct messages. Else we are just showing the message like registration failed, please try again. And we are throwing the error here. Then we have this navigate to login function also. So now what we will do, we will create one account and we will see is it working or not. We will write here Raman and we will put an email ID raman@snippetcoder.com. We'll put the password here and we will click this terms and condition. And now we will click on the register now. You can see here we are getting a registration failed, please try again. So now let's put the debugger and see where the issue is. We'll go to this register page and from here we will put the debugger here and we click again here register now. So here we are doing the post request with this username and password. We put the debugger here also. We will press the and we are getting here 404 error. So now let's see what wrong we have put here. We will open our APIs and in the routes we will go there. We'll open the user routes. We have this register and the login here. So I think the issue is like we are putting here backslash. We have to remove this one and let's try again. Here if I put now we are getting here 201 and we are also getting the error that is password must be at least 8 characters and you will see this error here, registration failed, please try again. So now we will change the password again. Now we will click again here and let's see. So here we are getting 201 and we are also getting this user ID, but we are not getting any token here which is required. So now let's see in our API why the token is not coming here, because if you see we are just doing the initialization of the chat plugin and there we require the user ID and the token both. So now from here we will just click the button and we are getting here registration fail. So now let's see where the issue is. First we have to check our API. We have to click here in the register user. So here in the register user we will not provide any token. We have to provide the token in the login. So what we have to do, we have to modify our auth service and from here we will not do any saving of the user ID and token and we will not do any initialization of the chat plugin and all. We will ask user to log into the system. Then this process will be happen there. We will just comment all this code. So now let's reload and we'll try again. We'll put here Raman and change the email ID to raman1@snippetcoder.com. We have this password here and we click register again. Here we are getting status code 201. But here we are checking with the 200, so that's why it is getting failed here. We will change it to 1 here and we will save it and try again. We will change it to 2 here and we click again here in the register now. So now user is registered. So what we will do, we will just log in that user. We will click on the login here. We'll put the email ID raman2@snippetcoder.com. And we have to put the password here and we click here login. And before doing that we have to put the debugger here. Click here on the login. You will see we are getting status 200 and the response we are getting a token and the data what we are getting here. We are getting 2 items. First one is a token and the second one is the user ID. And this token and user ID we have to set inside our shared preference. Then we have to initialize this chat plugin and all. You can see here we are doing the initialization and we are just doing the delay of millisecond 500 to make sure that our chat plugins are properly initialized and all. You can also open the console here. You can see here we are getting all the connected user in the socket in our API and also see in our application also if we are getting any error or not. So we are not getting any error and all. So you can see here creating a new socket connection to this server and also we are getting a socket connected with the ID, this ID and all. So you are getting all this log because here in the configuration we have put debug mode true. If we put here false, we are not getting any console message for all the logs and all. So now let's move further and we will create our direct message pages, and from there we will start our chat process and all.